Is this their last home game, or?
Regular season's done. They play at Indianola for regionals.
Okay.
Friday.
I think they just had their last thing today. Yeah. They played now, and they're like.
This is their awards banquet tonight.
I think today was like their kind of finished today.
I know she's interested in doing it again next year. And then there was one other girl that was a junior that applied that I reached back out to her, and she's interested in doing it too. It's always a challenge to get the kids to sign on. But we always wind up with really good kids. Yeah. You ready, Randy?
Yep. Are you ready? Okay. Good evening. We will call the meeting to order. This is the time and place for the May 16, 2023 regular board meeting for the Marshalltown Community School District. Welcome to those of you joining us here in person. Welcome as well to anybody tuning in on the live stream or watching us later on at your leisure. We'll do introductions before we get too far. We'll start to my left. We have board members Karina Hernandez, Sarah Faltis, and Leah Stanley. To my right, we have Zach Wall and Jan McGinnis. Seated here at the center table, to my left, Dr. Theron Schutte, the superintendent of schools. To my right, Randy Denham, the board secretary. And I am Sean Heitman. We also have three of our student school board members here this evening: Yesenia Alvarez Zamora, Abraham Madrigal Farias, and Jackson Eisenbarth. And this is their final meeting of the year. So it's your last chance to see them and say hi to them. A couple other things. We've got a pink sign-up sheet here on the speakers table for anybody who wants to address the board during public comment time. Please understand that you will be allowed 5 minutes to address the board. Iowa law prohibits discussing specific employees of the district or their job performance. Please also understand that in accordance with board policy, board members will not respond to comments so that we can comply with open meeting laws. Have I missed anything, Randy?
We're good.
Okay. With those things out of the way, would you all please join me in reading the mission statement of the Marshalltown Community School District? We develop learners who have the knowledge, skills, and positive mindset to successfully pursue a meaningful future through personalized learning experiences. And please join me as you're able in joining the pledge. Please stand as you're able in joining the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are there any changes to the agenda?
Yes, please. In personnel, two things there. You'll see a highlighted teacher that we snuck on there who got some things in on time, so that's a new addition, that FCS teacher there. And then you'll see, thank you, crossed out teacher there who has, she will not be joining our team, so that is a removal. So one addition and one removal, please. Thanks.
With that, is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved. Second.
Faltis Stanley, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries 6-0. Abby?
Good evening, everyone. Starting off with recognitions, Hoagland Elementary School. I know we have Principal Amy Williams here tonight to talk about the efforts of the Hoagland students and staff through the Penny War that happened May 1st through May 5th. So, Amy, where are we at?
Hello, thanks for having me. I should be the last one sitting here. I want to give a shout out to some people who were very instrumental in making this happen. So Amy Pollard, kindergarten teacher at Hoagland, her idea to do a penny war. We did one several years ago to support the Marshalltown Police Department in purchasing a K-9 and raised a great deal of money. And this year she said, why don't we do one to support both the police department's effort for a K-9 as well as the Marshall County Sheriff's Department. We have students of police chief, as well as other officers and relatives on the sheriff department too, whose children attend Hoagland. So it was a great idea and a great effort to support both organizations. And so a penny war, if you don't know what it is, it's a week-long. Classroom teachers have buckets outside their door. Anything that goes in their buckets that's pennies is positive, but any other silver or dollars is negative, and you want to try to end in the positive, so we're actually looking for lots and lots of pennies. If you are in a classroom like Mrs. Pollard's class, she's telling her kids, you can bring $5 or quarters, but don't put them in our bucket, put them in the buckets of others. And so in a week's time, with a lot of friendly, competitive spirit on social media within our buildings, on Remind out to families, we were able to raise a little over $3,400, and that will be split between the police department and the sheriff's department, and those checks will be presented at a short little assembly next week where Atlas will actually come and visit the school. We had office staff who counted every day, took hours and hours. So Brenda Miller, building admin assistant, Nurse Megan, our SRS, and on Friday, we didn't know how we were going to count it all. And so we had whoever could stop by the office and help count, because we tried to share the totals every day, which also drummed up more and more coins coming. And we're grateful to the police department as well as the sheriff's department, who sent officers and personnel to be in the building on at least Thursday and Friday of the penny war. And they're pretty popular. Kids wanted lots of autographs. Lots of high fives were given, and overall just a great community event.
Yeah, cool, awesome. Now, when Millie was a kindergartner, they won the penny war.
Oh, yes. Mrs. Potter's class did not win, and the winner will be announced at our assembly. Dr. Schutte may have had a hand in the winning class this year.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Next is an info recognition item for third quarter employee recognitions, which were given recently to Jaime Vergara of Marshalltown Learning Academy, Molly Tafta from Hoagland Elementary School, Diane Simpson from Lenahan Intermediate School, and Yumi Clark at Marshalltown High School. And then for the next recognition item, Dr. Schutte.
Yeah, as Mr. Heitman mentioned, this is the last formal meeting, not that you can't come back to other meetings if you so choose, of our 4 student school board representatives, and 3 of them, the 3 seniors, are here. So I have a small token of our appreciation for the hours that you've put in, both attending the meetings, preparing for the presentations of the meetings. I know I speak on behalf of the board that we've all benefited from the information that you've shared with us every other week, and hopefully you've gained some knowledge of democracy and the way school districts and school boards function. So thank you very much for what you've given to us this past year, and we wish you the best in your future pursuits with college and career.
Makes me sad. They get to take their name, right? They take their name, too.
Looking at the consent agenda, we've got minutes from the May 1st regular meeting and a special meeting held on May 3rd. Dr. Ryan, anything of note in personnel?
Yep, we just want to speak to, Julie Gianetto's retirement. She's worked for the food service department for 10 years. She's been a member of our cooks department at the high school in the kitchen. She is known as the birthday treat lady, as she takes special requests for everyone's birthday and brings in the treat of their choice to celebrate their special day. Julie is a hardworking and dependable team member that we are going to dearly miss. We wish you all the happiness and relaxation in retirement, Julie. And that's from Lynn Large, Director of Food Service. Congrats to Julie. Thanks. I'm sorry, and I will note one more time that this is a little bit different as we have two personnel consent agendas. One, our typical consent agenda that says the 516 updated, and then the one on the left is just for the 23-24 coaches. We are to bring those to the board every year, so this is the coaches that we are aware of now, and then any new subsequent coaches who come on board, we'll insert them into the regular consent agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. Looking at interagency agreements and contracts, there's a contract with Iowa Valley Community College District for providing accessibility of college courses to the district students pursuant to 261E of the Code of Iowa. Migrant Education Support Program proposals for June 1 through June 30, 2023, and for July 1 through August 2023. An agreement to petition federal funds with Gear Up Iowa to support college and career readiness, starting with the 7th grade class of 2023 if selected. And then 3 memorandums of understanding with IJAG, one for middle school and one for high school and MLA. And then an exhibit, CIC Exhibit A for training consultation. Questions about any of those contracts, agreements? Looking at open enrollments, we've got 4 for this school year, 2 in, 2 out, all continuations. And for next year, there are 6, 4 in, and 2 out. Randy, anything to note in the bills or financial report?
No, not this month.
Questions for Randy about the bills or the financial report? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second. Iowa Valley.
We have, okay, Wall, Faltus. I need to abstain because my wife is on the coaches consent agenda, or on the coaches personnel. Karina is also abstaining. Okay, so all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. And, okay, so motion carries 4-0 with 2 abstentions. Zach, could you grab the pink sheet? Becky, come on up.
So, wanted to just share some concerns that I've had with bullying and violence in the schools. My oldest child's 28, so my youngest one's 12. I have 6 kids, and I don't remember a year that we haven't had to deal with bullying of some type. And I know it's going to happen, but I want to do anything we can to try to prevent that from happening. I'm having some issues with the way it's being addressed, with the communication between the district and the parents on how it's being handled. The number of incidents that is happening is quite concerning. I'm going to talk first about my own son. He's very quiet, but he's a good kid. And he's very intelligent. He's skipped grades in both English and math. And I don't remember him ever having a problem where teachers are telling me he has a behavior problem. He's pretty compliant, almost too compliant. And this last year, he hasn't wanted to go to school. He hasn't wanted to go to school, and as a 7th grader, they don't really want to talk to mom too much about things like this. This last year, he told me that most of this is happening in front of an educator, in front of his classroom teacher. And between the name calling, the condescending remarks about his body shape and size, which is oddly similar to the aggressors, on top of all of that, almost on a daily basis, he would tell me that he was going to school and getting his nipples pulled, twitched, whatever. And as a mom, I really wanted to just go take care of that myself. But I refrained, and I went through the chain of command. But I should have only had, first it shouldn't have had to happen. There was a teacher there, okay? And before we go any further, I was told that that didn't happen, it wasn't in front of a teacher. Since then, I have seen videos, and I would love to share them with you, about incidents of bullying in front of a teacher. So I have seen this with my own eyes, and I can share that video with you. This escalated to multiple phone calls, multiple emails, until I finally involved Dr. Schutte multiple times. And I do want to thank him, because every time he was involved, something did happen. But it shouldn't have to go there. It shouldn't have to go there. And the last incident, when I talked to my son, or the building administrator, I was told that everything was fine. It has been addressed. Everything is good. And it wasn't. It wasn't. It continued. I finally called and I said, I've given up on any kind of consequences for this bully. Would you please help me? Because there's going to be bullies on down the road, and I want some help teaching my child to self-advocate and build some confidence. And not only my child, but there's a lot of others going through this. So I think this would be a different approach. This would give them lifelong skills on how to deal with bullies. Because even as adults, they're in the workplace, okay, unfortunately. So we brainstormed, and I really felt like we were having a good conversation. And a staff member at the school was supposed to work with my son after spring break. Several weeks after spring break, still continuing, and I asked what this, how the conversations were going working with this individual, and my son had not met with this person as of yet. I shot an email back to the administrator, and at that time, she decided to add the staff member to that thread of emails, and that's how he was incorporated into the plan. There wasn't a meeting. He had no idea what he was even supposed to be doing except for meeting with Ian. And I later got an email from that staff member saying that he let him know that his door was open if he wanted to come and talk at any time. Not
Becky?
exactly my idea.
That's 5 minutes.
Okay.
Thank you. Monica?
Hello. Good afternoon, everybody. Well, I usually don't ever come to board meetings. I'm not really sure what they're about. I guess it's just like, you don't really come to these things until something happens to you, and then you want to reach out or get help from whoever you can. So I have been talking to Dr. Schutte about a situation that happened on May 4th at Miller Middle School. My son was assaulted by three other students, and that also included somebody that was recording and a bystander. I just wanted to let you guys know that that my son's not doing well, and he doesn't want to go back to school, and he's on an IEP. And a week prior to this incident, the principal at Miller Middle School was telling my son and his special education case manager, they were telling my son that he was probably going to get held back because he wasn't doing very well in school, and he would have to go to summer school. And now after this incident, he's going on almost a week of school, missing a week of school. So basically, I'm just here to see what you guys can do to help me and help my son, because I don't think a lot of people are aware. There wasn't a lot of communication with the principals and myself until people started reaching out to me and started helping me and advocating for my son. That's when I got a call from the principal. Only one of them, there's two, and I haven't heard from the other one yet whatsoever, but yet she's saying that my son's doing fine and he's doing well, and they're taking care of the situation, which I feel that they are not. So I just wanted to voice my concern about the communication that there is within the schools and the parents. It seems like they respond once you go to Dr. Schutte, and then he lets them know that, you know what, you need to respond back to this parent, because otherwise I feel like they wouldn't have responded if I didn't go directly to him, which as a parent, you shouldn't have to. You shouldn't have to go to the boss's boss for them to respond back to you. And there's so much more I want to voice, but I can't do it all within 5 minutes. And yeah, I just wanted you guys to know that the bullying at Miller Middle School is very unacceptable, and it's just not right. So I know I left a lot out, but I'm not a very good public speaker, so I do apologize. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep, Erica, Lindsay, Kyle, come on up.
Sit in that chair. Trying to give you the throne. Okay, well, thanks for having us tonight. We wanted to take a few minutes to talk a little bit about the programming that we have district-wide for computer science, and obviously I can speak a little bit more confidently about what we do at Lenahan, and we'll go into a little bit of detail regarding what we've done since we had our computer sciences elementary grant 5 years ago now, 4 years ago? 4 years ago, and where we've come from there, and talking a little bit about it. I mean, we talked a little bit back in December about how we do it in different content areas, but we'll get a little bit more explicit and show some detail regarding what we do across the grade levels for computer science. Want to go ahead and talk about that?
Yeah. So this is just a quick outline. We're going to quickly give you a district overview. You're good. You're good. You're okay. So then we're going to quickly talk about the elementary perspective, more in depth on Lenahan, and then middle and high school, what happens there, and then we're going to end with the journey of a kindergartner to a senior with computer science in the district. So if you want to go to that next slide, this is a slide that is just kind of a compilation of most of the things that we use district-wide for coding. This isn't all-inclusive, but includes a lot of what we use. So on the left-hand side, most of those are used like K-6, most of those things that are listed there. And then on the right-hand side, a few more K-6 things, but also things that are used at Miller, like the MIT App Inventor, and then at the high school as well. And then just a couple of ways that Lenahan in particular has done some professional development. They had a pretty big group of teachers attend ISTE virtually a couple of years ago. And then have also done iTech in person, which is the Iowa technology conference that happens in Des Moines every year. And then if we can go to the next slide. So this is an overview of what happens K4. So a reminder that we start our computer science instruction in kindergarten. And you'll hear a bit more about that later. So this is a summary of the projects that students do through PLTW Launch. There's one module at each grade level that focuses on computer science skills. So this just gives you a summary of the work that students do in each of those modules that take about a semester. And those are taught by teacher librarians as a special. So once every 6 days, students go to the library and learn about computer science. And then the next slide, Lindsay's going to do.
So this is kind of to give you an overview of what computer science looks like at Lenahan for a 5th grader and then also for a 6th grader. So that top row there is what Amanda Miller is doing as our core instruction for computer science. She's really making sure that our kids have all of the coding skills that they need to be able to perform our assignments that we're giving them in class. Then that second row there, you can see what's happening on a monthly basis in their core classes. So in October, they are working on a quiz game around health in science class. In January, it moves into creating a conversation and teaching about powers of 10 in a conversation. We also have class VR. Those are the VR sets. And so they worked with some interactions in matter and actually being able to see like matter change in real time with those VR headsets. Then in science, they also created a project showing the spheres. So how does the geosphere interact with the hydrosphere and all of the 3 spheres that they study? And then in math again, they're working on coding rectangular prisms. They just wrapped that up. And currently they are reading Shakespeare and creating a scene out of Shakespeare and incorporating modern language with Shakespearean language. And then you can see we also have, so that core line, thank you. So that core line is what every child in 5th grade is getting. The third row there is if students have our essential standards, they have lots of opportunities for extension. So you can see there they're getting extensions in coding with Scratch, creating Kahoots, creating Jamboards, making movies with Brain Pop, and it kind of even gives you like the details of what topics those are. So that's in 5th grade. Then if you go to the next slide, 6th grade, again, this shows you they're changing their computer science there and the instruction with computer science in that top row there. And then in the second row, you can see all of the different things that all 6th grade students are getting in core. So again, they're creating different Scratch projects in both literacy, science, and math. And then 6th grade, our 6th grade science team started the year with Class VR. That's something new for us, that virtual reality. And so next year we're planning some more intentional PD around that so they can find better spaces that really fits with the core. And then their extensions also have really grown throughout the years, and you can see through the 6th grade view there, they're really coding and doing computer science in core, in computer science specials class and extensions all year long. The cool thing about Amanda is she is continually changing her program and has really had to change her program every year because of what they're doing K4, and also because of what they're doing in core. She just has to up the rigor all of the time and is always moving it around to make sure kids have their prerequisite skills they need. I think now we get to hear from Elliot.
Yeah, all right. So we made a video, and we can maybe skip, we might not be able to have to watch the whole thing, but we're going to have him share a little bit. He's super excited about this. What are we looking at here?
My scratch portfolio,
Your scratch portfolio. Why are you making a scratch portfolio?
or on the lunch on the lawn, parents are gonna come in and see our portfolios of what we made.
Right, so at the end of the year, they make like a culminating project that they pick out, how many could you pick out to put in it? As many as you wanted?
Yeah.
Okay, so he picked out 4 projects that he was excited about, wanted to show off, and so we'll take a little look here about what that could look like, if you want to hit play. We're here with esteemed computer coder, Elliot Young, and he's going to share with us his 5th grade computer science portfolio. This is similar to what kids will be sharing with their families on May 25th during our Lunch on the Lawn event. And so we'll take a look at this and ask him all the hard questions. You ready?
Yep.
All right, here we go. Let's start the slideshow. All right, so tell us about this first one here.
In jail escape, in my jail escape project, you are trying to escape jail without the guard catching you.
Okay. So
It's not done yet, though.
it's not done. It's not complete. So let's take a peek at it. Oh, we're trying to break out. Okay. And so what can you do here right now?
Right now, all you can pretty much do is just walk around.
All right, so you can run around in the jail, but you want it to do what?
I want it to be able to pick up the key and then walk out on the left side to go to the next.
Got it. So the key that's right here, you want to be able to take that and go out of the room. All right. So this next one is volume project. Where did you do this one at?
I did this one in math class.
All right. So tell me a little bit about this one. What did you like? What was hard about it? What was something you want to maybe look at changing?
I might want to look at changing I want to change, probably the noise it makes when it goes across the screen.
Okay. You realize we can't record the sound from scratch onto the so when it plays,
part
you can't
was
hear it.
finding the duck because it was just in the list of scratch sprites.
All right, so this is asking me how do you find the volume of the shape? Now, if I just do length times width times height, it honks at me. That must be a good thing.
And the volume of the shape.
3 times 3 is 6 times 7. What if I put 63? 63 what? Oh, it doesn't have a label. Cubic unit. Okay. Now, what happens if I put in height times width? Height times width times length.
It's wrong.
Then it tells me it's wrong. But isn't that the right answer too?
Yeah.
We have some coding we need to do.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We'll look at maybe to changing some of those options.
Yeah.
Sounds good. All right. What else do we got here? Oops. Now this is a 3D project. Now, what class did you do this one in?
I made this one by myself for fun.
Just made it for fun. You're
Yeah.
just like, love coding, want to keep doing it?
Yep.
All right. So you told me to turn the res down.
Yeah.
What am I? Oops, gotta click off of it here. And it's just a 3D world you made, huh?
Yeah.
What was hard about doing that?
It was hard because making it 3D because Scratch doesn't help make things 3D. It's a 2D game.
It's a 2D platform, but you figured out a way to make it 3D.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. But it's kind of run around here in a maze. Is there anything you want to add to it?
A goal where you're trying, like, a place where you're trying to get through to get to like a next level or something.
Adding a next level. I love it.
It's kind of like Minecraft.
All right. The Butter Dog Clicker Project. I'm taking this one. There's another, just Elliot special.
Yep.
All right. What was cool, but what do you like about this one so much?
The Butter Dog.
You like the Butter Dog. Okay, there's the Butter Dog. Now what do I do?
You just have to click them and you can buy things to get clicks per second.
Oh wow, look at this. I just keep clicking and I get all sorts of Butter Dogs. Now if I go to the store here, is this the store, right?
Yeah. What?
I can buy that. Oh.
Per second.
Then I don't even have to click. It just goes up.
Mhm.
Oh wow! But if I click, then it can go back to the store.
You can just go in.
Oh my goodness! So many Butter Dogs. Now I'm tempted. What happens if I click up here? Okay. We could probably cut this off now. All right, we're here with.
Okay, so with Code to the Future starting next year, this was a way for us to take what we're already doing. As you can see, we've been pretty intentional about where we've put coding in, how we've used it. It's not another activity at Lenahan. It's really how we do business and we utilize it in the learning that we are doing. And so Code to the Future is going to help us in the fact that it will help us advance some of the things that we're already currently doing, but push our teacher knowledge further so that we can help push kids further. So year one, we'll be moving right into the advanced coding with Code to the Future. When we talk to them, we're already beyond their basic block coding course, so they're moving us right to the advanced coding course. And then in year two, we'll be focused on robotics, coding. We have VEX kits at 6th grade, which I think some of you saw when you came. And right now we build them. We'll be hoping to code them actually, so taking that one step further. And then in computer science class, to help Amanda take her work even further, she'll be taking the kids through text-based coding with Python.
Okay, so after all this amazing work at Lenahan, then students go on to Miller, and they have an option in 7th and 8th grade to elect into a class that's an exploratory class that uses, they do not use code.org, I forgot to change this. They use STEM, I'm so sorry, that's incorrect. STEM something. They use a web, it's an open ed resource online, similar to code.org. And then 8th grade, so that's an option for kids in 7th and 8th grade. 8th grade, all students participate in a PLTW gateway model. So we do PLTW launch at K6, and then starting in 7th grade, they use gateway, which is the middle school curriculum. And that module is called App Creators, and they use that MIT App Creator app to create their own app. And every 8th grader participates in that. And then from there, they go to the high school. You can go to the next slide. And at the high school, these are all elective courses as well. So we have a couple options through PLTW, Computer Science Essentials and Computer Science Principles. And then there are also now courses through the CTE department that are related to computer science, and those three are listed there as well. Game design and Unity is going to be new next year. So that's what students have the option to do at MHS, and what we're hoping is that all this work at K-8 really helps kids identify whether this is something that they want to do and then are prepared to elect into these classes at the high school.
Okay, can you tell them your name? It's your turn. What's your name?
Bryn,
Bryn. And what grade are you in?
kindergarten.
She's in kindergarten here in the district. Bryn is coding at school, so she's going to show you one of her coding projects here. Hi, Bryn. What are we doing right here on this project?
We're coding.
You're coding. What are the animals supposed to do in this project?
They're supposed to go to their letters.
So how did you get them to go to their letters?
I coded them.
You coded them. How did you have to move the elephant? How did the elephant have to move?
It went down. It went down 8 times, and over this way 12 times.
Oh, how did you get the letters to
If
show
I
up
do
on
this
there?
way, does it show them that I actually
It's okay, they'll understand. How did you get the letters to show up on there? What did you have to do? You don't have to show me.
What?
Just tell me, how did you get the letters Z, G, and E on there?
I pressed this,
Don't start drawing on it.
and then I pressed this,
And you could make a new character.
and then I pressed this.
Awesome. Oh, you're okay. Okay, hit the check mark. We're not gonna make a new one because you didn't like that on there.
And then we press one of these to make it
The letters or the picture.
like the ends, and then you get to pick your colors right down here.
Yeah, cool. Okay,
Yeah.
hit the check mark and bring us back. I think that's probably your favorite part is making the pictures. Okay. Then you also had to add what to your project here? You had the animals that you had to add and the letters. There's something else here. It's not a plain picture. What else did you have to add?
The background.
The background. Mhm.
This is how you go to background. So you tap this, and then you get to pick your background. Like if you want this one, you can tap that, or this one, or this one, or this one, or this one, or this
Okay,
one.
can you go back to your project and show us how it works now? Okay. How do you make the animals move? What do you have to press?
This flag.
Now you were telling me one thing about this project that you want to fix. What's
Well,
something you want to? So what was one thing that you didn't like about your project right there?
the draft didn't go where it was supposed to go.
Yep. And you wanted to start fixing it right away, didn't you? Yeah. What's your favorite thing about coding in Miss Steffa's class? What's your favorite thing about coding? What do you like doing?
I liked coding the baby one.
You liked coding the baby one? Mm-hmm. Having the baby crawl. It took us 40 minutes to get that video because there's no fear in kindergarten. The amount of I can change this and do this, and what does this do, and how do I fix this? There's absolutely no fear, and the curiosity is just there. So you could hear me say multiple times, "Don't touch that, don't," because anytime she would change it, she'd want to change it back, and so it was fun to watch that.
Okay, so that's how we start our students here at MCSD, and now we're going to show you a senior who is going to be going to Iowa State and majoring in computer science next year. He's going to talk about a project, and then he's going to talk about what his favorite things about coding are. He couldn't join us because he's at soccer practice. This took us the exact amount of time that these videos are to create. He was like, I'm doing it and I'm gone.
I think we were 2 takes.
No, we just did one too. Okay, so if you want to play the one on the bottom left, yep, that one's, he'll talk about the project first.
Hello, my name's Ashton. This is one of my projects that I had to do for computer science principals at the high school. This was done on Replit, which is just a website where I do my coding on my Chromebook. This assignment was to find a large data set that interested me, and I chose the dropout rates in Iowa as my data set, and here's the CSV file that I had to import. The program is taking the data in that data set and making predictions based off of the data. I wrote my program to decide the likelihood of someone dropping out based on certain demographics. How it works is I have a GUI, which is a graphical user interface that I made using the Tkinter module, and there's a bunch of checkboxes, and you just check whichever ones you want to choose. So we'll just do low socioeconomic status, press submit, then it's going to show the percentage increase from the overall dropout rate. So there's an 85% percentage increase versus the overall dropout rate in Iowa. And then I have a graph that will show that so that it's easier to see. And I made that with Matplotlib, which is another module. So that is my program, one of the programs that I had to make for computer science principles.
Yeah, and then you can play, yep.
Okay, so what have you learned through your work with computer science?
So when I started this class, I didn't know how to program at all. Like I was a newbie, I was a beginner, I really had no clue what I was doing. And now I'd say that I'm pretty decent at it. You know, I got a long ways to go, but I've learned a lot, and that's something that is a super good lesson to learn, like just learning new things. And then also, I'd say I've become a much better problem solver, because when you're programming, there's a lot of different ways that you can do things, and you know, there's not always just one right way. And it's really, you know, it really activates your brain and it really makes you think more than I would say any other subject for me. And you know, I think that's probably the thing that I like the most about it, just that it is really activating like a different part of my brain that I don't always have to use in other subjects or classes.
Okay, so that's it. We thought you might notice that we carefully selected our subjects for this presentation. Thank you all. Do you have any questions?
I don't have a question, but I really appreciate the specificity. I mean, it was made it clear how you're actually integrating this, and you can really see the progress the kids are making through the years. So, and I'm sure it changes every year because this is definitely a changing field.
Absolutely. Well, I think it was 2 years ago when they passed legislation requiring computer science to be taught somewhere in elementary, middle, and high. And it was great that we were already in a position where we were doing it K-12 essentially throughout the curriculum in some way, shape, or form. Not that there's not always room for improvement, but I know that as a result of that too, a lot of different courses have been chosen to provide students at the high school level over time.
So I mean, I like the way at Lenahan you guys integrate the computer science into the regular core instruction. Are they doing that at the elementaries as well, or is it more contained to the specials?
It's more contained to specials, yeah, for sure. But I will say that work, and Lindsay mentioned this too, but that work is definitely making an impact on kids because literally every year that Amanda has taught the special at Lenahan, she's had to change what she's done every single year because the kids that are coming in from elementaries just have the skills that she taught them last year, so she's got to move to the next stage. So that's great. But yeah, we haven't gotten into integration at K4 as much.
Yeah, it was really telling when we met with the Code of the Future folks, when we were just like, they kind of rolled out the first module and were like, we got that. Let's go to the next step. And so it was, and it was, there was no hesitation as we saw it. We just looked at it and went, nope, we don't need that. Let's move to the next part. So it was really encouraging to see how far along our kids are with this.
Other questions or comments? Well, thank you very much, guys.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you
Thank
for
you.
coming.
Elliot, Bryn, thank you.
Good work, dude.
All right, thank you for having us here one last time. We'll go ahead and proceed with our last report. So we're starting off with the high school. Okay, so in preparation for future National History Day competitions, I feel like the district or the schools here have had pretty good success with that competition throughout the years. And to even improve that further, we had national qualifiers from the high school and state qualifiers from the Miller Middle School all joined together with a bunch of Lenahan children. And so what happened here is that there were several different types of projects. The students, the younger students learned their options really in this competition. There are a lot of different types of projects. If you're not someone to be, of course you're gonna have to present it, but if you'd rather write your thoughts down in just kind of a paper format, or if you're really into technology, you wanna do documentaries or exhibits or performances, we talk them through the process of doing that, learning. Okay, the kids are learning, okay, what do I need to really make sure I have in my exhibit or have in my project that's stated very obviously. Just overall going through strategies. How do I choose a topic? How do I build my project? And how can, overall be getting better at historical analysis even from Lenahan age. Okay, and so I would like to talk to you about multicultural literature, which is a dual credit course that was offered this year at Marshalltown High School. And this course is very special, I do believe, from personal experience. It is very rigorous. It is a very rigorous writing course. It focuses mostly on people of color, American authors. So we have a lot of things from the Harlem Renaissance, and you go from analyzing these long works by different authors and relating them to the issues of the time and comparing them to the issues now. When I ask people, okay, did you like the class? They're like, yeah, I love the class. What, did you think it was easy? I'm like, no, it was not easy at all. You have kind of this thing where if you're a good writer for high school standards, you kind of get away with, maybe not putting your true best out there. And you really couldn't do this in this course. You had to do your best. Everything had to be well formatted. It really challenged your thinking further, which is something that I think students enjoyed, and even I enjoyed personally. And so it helps you make that connection to, okay, evaluating that past factor in American history and also just evaluating where we are right now as a society, which is very, very important. And that class just overall demands more distinguished writing from the students, which really prepares them for college and other things in the future professional career. One of the other things that they do is a semester project that involves the students spending around half of their semester researching problems in their community. So here in Marshalltown, people think, okay, so what can we do, to keep drugs or vaping out of the hands of students and children? Or even, okay, what do we do with senior citizens who might be feeling exiled from, the community? As people get older, they lose friends and connections. It really took a very varied branch of approaches. People went from topics that just really mattered to them from personal experiences, or just were looking through issues one day and decided, okay, this is what I want to focus on, and this is how I think we could improve Marshalltown as a community and as a whole. And even part of it, they had to write kind of a letter that they would send to a government official. So they could go from the House or even the governor, and they decided which approach they wanted to take first and really thought that process through. And on the next slide, I just have a little excerpt of one of the other projects, which is a collage poem. I'm not too big on poetry, but a lot of the students seem to enjoy this project very much. And so what a collage poem is your own work and your own words combined with, it could be really anything, newspaper articles, songs, a random ad that you see for Aflac. Not sponsored. So here is by anonymous students. It says, "There is always light. If only we are brave enough to see it. If only we are brave enough to be it. Standing together, we will make the change. We will be remembered as the ones who ended the hate." So a whole thing that I couldn't share with you here, but just giving you a little piece of what the students are going through and really challenging themselves to think, okay, is this the society that I want to live in? How can I contribute? How can things change? Okay, and so also, May 12th last, I don't know, Friday or so, we had, MCC had its graduation, its commencement ceremony. And so Marshalltown High School had over 20 students that will be receiving their diploma in the mail for their associate's degree. And for those at home who might not know what this entails or have students coming up into the high school, if the students go, they can talk to their counselors and kind of set up a plan over the years. Okay, these are the classes that you're going to take, and those classes count for both credits for the high school and for the college. And so you need a minimum of 64 hours of credits, and all the students there just put in the work, and they will be receiving their diploma. And so the importance of this is that, you know, if you're thinking, if your child wants to go to college, and you might know that you don't have, let's see, overflowing financial resources. This is something great to do because a lot of times, depending on what you want to do, you may be able to go, if you want to go right into the workforce, okay, you have a better chance of being hired, a better chance of having a higher pay. Or if you want to go into further education, okay, now you get some of those prereqs out of the way. Maybe even shorten your time in college. But yes.
All right, so for some sports, boys tennis plays Dowling Catholic tomorrow for the second round of team districts. And 5 players on the tennis team have made it to individual state, which will be played on the 23rd. Girls tennis, they had a girls varsity regional today against Valley, and they lost 5-0. Girls varsity golf plays against multiple schools at Irv Warren Golf Course on Wednesday. Boys baseball, who's 1-0 after the win last night, has an away game against Bent Community on Friday. Girls soccer has an away game against Indianola on Friday. And boys track had a runner make it to state in the 400, and he will run on Thursday.
Alrighty, I will begin with MLA's presentation. MLA, excuse me, I'm sorry. We went around Anson Park and around the building to just clean up trash, like I mentioned in the last meeting, where we would be going around and cleaning up. We unfortunately only could have gone to Anson due to transportation and all that. And then today, of what I heard of, they went to the veterans' home to help out with anything that they really needed, like volunteering over there. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get pictures of what exactly they did, but I know that they did go over for about 2 hours and gave them a hand in what they needed. And on is our future plans for all 3 of us.
As requested.
I plan on continuing to get my para certification this summer at MCC and continuing to work in the fall as a full-time para here at Fisher Elementary School. And then I also in the fall plan on attending WGU online and maybe getting my teaching degree.
Nice.
Awesome.
I plan to attend St. Ambrose University in Davenport to major in secondary education. I haven't quite figured out what subject just yet. But yeah, I'm excited for what the future holds.
I made myself a list of things I need to do. So I'm done with my CNA course. I was lucky enough to take it through the high school's dual credit agreement with MCC. I passed the class. I did my hours in the Veterans Home. I enjoyed it thoroughly. I'm going to try to pass state test outs and work there for the summer. I'm going to be attending Grinnell College. Right now, there's a lot of options for me to go through, which I feel if they had told me, okay, pick one of the 2, it would have been easier for me to have a choice. But since there's so much that I could potentially go through, right now I'm thinking about psychology with a neuroscience concentration. My end goal, since I put that in quotes because I don't plan to die at that point. But for now, I want to go to medical school and I'm considering becoming an ER doctor. And thank you so much for having us here, members of the board, distinguished and very loved. I thoroughly enjoyed my time here, and I feel like I was just getting a little bit better at it. But yes, any questions? Any goodbyes? No.
I'd also like to say thank you as well. It was a great experience, so thank you guys.
I also would like to say thank you as well, you guys. It really means a lot to us that you guys were able to give us this opportunity. And I really hope you guys are doing well.
Well, yeah, thanks to you guys and to Natalie, who's not here this evening, but you guys have done a tremendous job.
Yes.
Being here, giving us meaningful and insightful information about what's going on. And so good luck to the three of you, and maybe Natalie come back next year and do it all over again. So, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck. Enjoy your summers and your future plans.
Come back and teach for it.
Yeah. Yes.
Jackie?
Good evening. I am presenting to you the list of students who haven't already been presented. We had some met mid-year who have gone on and are working and staying busy. But we do have another set of students who are just as hopeful to make it to the May 28th graduation. And those who are unable are starting to receive some certified letters so the parents know that we weren't quite able to make it. However, we do have another celebration planned for June 29th, and I expect that will be well attended, as the last couple have been as well.
This is one of the higher numbers of graduates
is.
in the recent past, isn't it?
One of those bubbles, yes.
What's the yellow and the green? What's the coding mean on
We
there?
are just trying to keep 3 different groups of kids coordinated. We have the kids at the high school, we have kids at MBA, we have kids at MLA. So we just want to make sure that we keep track of, we have lots of hands in that pot of managing that data.
Okay. Other questions? I did note that our 3 student board members were all included on the list, so that was a good thing.
Yes. It's a great sign.
So on graduation, Sunday, May 28th.
2:30.
2:30 in the Roundhouse.
In the Roundhouse.
Inside.
Tickets went out today, not on sale. At least not from our end, they're not on sale. But the tickets did go out today, and so it's, they're pretty excited.
Outside wasn't an option.
Not this year. A little bit of dirt there.
Hey, we need a motion to approve the Marshtown High School 2023 list of graduates as presented, pending fulfillment of all graduation requirements.
So moved.
Second.
McGinnis Hernandez, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, good evening. I've been down in class. One of my EDD courses, quantitative research, has started tonight, so I'm here momentarily with you, and then I have to head right back down. I'm excited to have Amy Starr with us here tonight. She's our regional administrator with Central Rivers AEA, and we have a really unique opportunity to partner together between the AEA and MCSD, and very excited to present that with you tonight. So no fancy presentation. There is a link in the agenda there that you can take a look at this proposal that we have. TNTP, I believe, stands for the New Teacher something project. The New Teacher Project. Okay. And also known as accelerated learning. at Marshalltown. And we just finished on May 15th. We had our last PD day, and we actually had a 2-hour session with them where we met and we virtually we had a session around scaffolding and really what is an appropriate scaffold for our students. Our teachers here at Marshalltown have had 4 different opportunities to learn from TNTP. And what you see in this proposal is really thinking through an ongoing leadership structure to provide some continued learning for both instructional coaches, principals, and our PLC leads. So when you look at that, the agreement, you'll see August 7th is a really important day where we're wanting to bring together all of those key people, and that partnership with the AAA allows other districts within the AAA to also send some of their key people to the training and bring TNTP on site in person. And then you'll see in the agreement that there's also 2-hour sessions where we're wanting to bring those instructional coaches, principals together throughout next year in the first semester to continue the learning. We're really looking at infusing that accelerated learning approach through our PLCs. And we know that those PLCs meet regularly, and it's really important for them to, think through that mindset on an ongoing basis. And we know that if we continue to push that learning within our leadership structure, we'll be successful. So Amy's here as well. She can
I guess
share.
I would just add that Dr. Schutte and our executive director actually kind of heard about this at the same time a couple of years ago down in Des Moines with the Department of Ed, and both were really excited about this. So it's really fun a couple of years later now that we really have a great partnership. One of the awesome things about this is we had been doing some talking. Professional learning is great, but you really need some people like on site working alongside your PLC leads and teachers to really coach and work authentically with them. Part of this partnership, we have gotten TNTP to use the Marshalltown curriculum, CKLA, and some of the math curriculum to use really Marshalltown examples as they look at grade level rigor. And then part of this, instead of TNTP, if you try to hire them to come in and coach at your district, I think the price tag is like $174,000, and they don't have the staff. So we had conversation, how could we as agency staff come alongside of you and help provide some of that coaching. Again, we're here already. We work and have the relationships with the district. So this really is a win-win for both of our staffs. And in the end, just awesome experiences for the students to really, again, accelerate their learning and have that grade level rigor.
This term, accelerated learning, sometimes can be kind of confusing. I think sometimes you hear that and you think, oh, we're trying to take extended learners, maybe XLP or gifted learners and extend their learning. We're actually looking at that subgroup of students who really need to close the gap. And you're looking at making sure that you're teaching these grade level expectations and it applies to every single learner in the classroom. So that term accelerated learning, I believe, came through near that COVID time because we needed to accelerate the learning to close the gap. And now here we are about 2 years out, hopefully even longer next year from COVID and thinking back to that term accelerated learning and hoping that we're not confusing folks either. But really it's in all kids and a great
And it's
approach.
one of the few evidence-based practices that the Department of Ed has pushed out as available to districts.
And highly supported through those ESSER Learning Loss funds.
Yeah, so about, I think it was 2 years ago, as we were starting to head towards what we hope to be the backside of the pandemic, the DE and I think the University of Iowa put on an Iowa STEM Summit in the fall, and there were 3 prongs to that. One was teenage suicide prevention, another was social emotional learning, and then accelerated learning. And as Shauna said, it was really focused on addressing any learning loss that may have been created over, the first year to 2 years of COVID. And so I happened to choose to go to the accelerated learning from TNTP. I think the DE was also putting on some workshops, and like always, I come back and Erica and Shauna were the first to be with. So I said, you guys have got to see this, because I went into it thinking, hopefully they'll have some good ideas on how to address this pandemic or COVID learning loss. But I really came out of it believing if we as a district could systemically figure out how to do this well, it could be really the whole answer to addressing any achievement gaps. Because as we know, we had achievement gaps before the pandemic. We've got achievement gaps now for a variety of reasons. And so what I really loved about it is the emphasis is on students always having grade level curriculum and rigor, and then infusing, figuring out, okay, here's where kids should be or we want them to be coming in, here's where they are, and finding those pressure points that we need to figure out how to scaffold within the actual fourth grade curriculum to catch up maybe things that were lost or missed. And so it's taken some time, like anything. I mean, it's a lot more complex than what I just described, but it's taken time for us to figure out how we could put training or professional development in amongst the other things that we felt were really, really important for our staff. And now I'm super excited, as Shauna is, that the AA, who I said the same thing to them. Unfortunately, some people from the AA were in those sessions too and felt the same way. So now we're at a point where we can partner and get that local support to help move that work forward, because it's a lot harder when the support is coming from, many states away or whatever. So I'm really, really excited for what the future holds. And it's going to take time, obviously, to build it out and develop it, but I really feel like it's the right work. So
I think the advantage of TNTP taking on real examples within the curricular resources that we have is just incredible, and it's actually a level of detail that you very rarely find.
So is TMPT training the AEA? Because what I heard is that they're providing part of this and the AEA is providing the other part.
We're going to be going through the learning together. And then, so our consultants, so our literacy consultants, math consultants, school improvement consultants, so then they can have that same level of understanding to help work with PLC leads and instructional coaches to help coach teachers.
Okay, so that knowledge, everyone's going through the training together.
Correct.
But then the AEA is going to, I guess, use that training in a different way to help continuously support the district as a whole.
Yeah, it'll benefit our district, and for the AEA, it'll benefit other districts that they serve as well that are engaging with TNTP. And then for us internally in our leadership structure, we'll build our leadership around TNTP, and then also can lean into their content specialists.
So this amount here is not for support for the other districts. This is just for our district portion of that, and then the AEA has a portion, and the other districts would have their own portion.
Yeah, so part of that contract is, so this is a negotiated price, and we're doing all the advertising and hosting it. And then when we offer it out to other LEAs, because we could hold more people, then any revenues that come from them will be pushed back to Marshalltown.
They can hold up to 300 for the
To
August 7th.
offset that cost, making it even cheaper, yeah.
Okay.
And they're
But
paying
this
for lunch.
amount is not for the other districts that you
No.
talked about
Right, no.
supporting?
Correct.
No.
This would be the most, and then hopefully as if other districts are able to join in the learning, then that could offset the cost to Marshalltown, continuing to reduce the cost. But it's really, the dates were chosen with Marshalltown. Like other districts, it's like, you may come and join in this learning and pay to have this learning, but it's been developed through our partnership with Marshalltown around their dates, around their curricular needs, and so forth.
Like some of these dates, I know you can't see that at first glance, but one of them is an early out, so we know our teachers are prepping for conferences and our leaders will be available for us to meet and grow together. So they've partnered with us to target those advantageous times. I think it's the last date, January 12th. Our teachers are in grading sessions, so we're taking advantage of that and pulling our leaders together to learn around TNTP.
Okay.
Other questions? And we need a motion to approve the TNTP proposal in the amount of $60,773 as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Well, who was it? Was it Sarah?
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly the same time.
McGinnis, Faltus, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Enjoy your class.
Thanks.
So things are quickly coming together as we get closer and closer to the opening of the Welcome Center portion of the Orpheum. And on today's agenda, we've got a request or a recommendation for purchase of furniture in order to outfit the instructional classroom that is at the top of the stairs on the second floor of the Orpheum. We added a graphic here. Andrew, if you can go down to the view of the classroom. So this is essentially the classroom design, largely put together by a group of teachers who potentially may be using it, including Amy Harmson, who's going to offer the first class using this facility and teaching about different types of digital technologies and content creation as it relates to our digital scoreboards, website, the wall of fame that we're going to put on the first floor of the Orpheum and the entryway and that sort of thing. So essentially, we've got some different flexible seating arrangements there. We've got 4, I guess you'd call them video production and or graphic design type computer stations on, I think, what's the east wall there. We've got a green screen that's actually going to get painted on the north wall with some soft seating along there. The room can, if you've been up there before, there's a divider wall where you see those kind of partitions sticking out so that you can turn it into a 2 smaller classroom setting, or you can have it in one large classroom. With the large classroom, you probably have the capacity, if you so chose, to facilitate upwards of 25 to 30 kids. I think realistically, we're targeting, hoping for maybe 15 to 20 for at least that first go around with the computer class. And then the other class that's going to be offered first semester, there will be an independent study around content creation, digital photography, possibly videography, and some other things related to capturing what we have of the history and the artifacts from the Orpheum, from the Gene Seberg collection, and getting them documented in and accessible to the general public in a digital way using that wall of fame that you've previously approved. Here's another view of what the classroom may look like, other than I believe the walls will be painted differently. There's a mobile teacher's desk so that it can move between one half of the room and the other, and a lectern and a charging station that's part of it as well. Right now, assuming the board would approve this expenditure, I believe the anticipated delivery date will be sometime between the end of June and the beginning of, or into July. Certainly, everything would be implemented in time for the start of the new school year. And I believe our intent is to use general funds for this purchase.
Yes, this would be a general fund purchase. Questions?
What's the classroom going to be used for?
It's being designed and implemented to be multifaceted, but the first course that's going to be offered is going to be through Amy Harmson, our Director of Technology, and it's going to be kind of a multifaceted course on the use of various digital technologies, as well as mainly content creation as it relates to either of the new digital scoreboards that we have purchased, which have video capabilities, and then also connecting with businesses and creating content around their partnerships with us, like mini commercials and things like that.
So you'd be looking at training people from the community so they would know what they could do with this scoreboard? Is that?
We're training kids to
Training
create
kids. So are you going to
content.
bus the children there, or what's the plan?
Well, ideally, we want to create opportunities that can accommodate up to a half-day experience. So if need be, we would be able to transport kids at the beginning of the day, over the noon hour, or at the end of the day. I think this particular course is going to lend itself predominantly to juniors and seniors who generally have their own transportation. But if they don't, we'll be able to work with them and accommodate it. And then again, the other course that we'll be ready to get off the ground will be more of a independent study around digital photography, around videography, for the purposes of creating and/or taking content that already exists, representing the history of the Orpheum in the theaters in Marshalltown, and also all of the things that we've inherited as part of the Gene Seberg collection, and speaking to the history of former graduates who have gone on to do great work in the theater arts and that sort of thing will all be part of what is created for a digital historical display, in addition to making decisions on what physical artifacts should be displayed in the area that's going to be repurposed into kind of a museum.
So do we have a lack of capacity at the high school for those high school students to be able to produce this content there? Well, I'm just curious why this location, if it's so limited.
If what's so limited?
We don't have it sounds like we don't have a plan for full day content it's not like we're just doing specific, like we're moving all of some department here. Are we lacking in classroom space at the high school?
I'd say yes to that. I mean, we're tight on classroom space, and we have some of our largest classes in the recent past coming through. We do have a video production course that Joe Frohwein has taught there that's a very foundational type course. This will be a little bit more advanced than what we've offered there.
So then would that class also, I mean, do we have like a department of classes that we're planning to move to the Orpheum to help with space, if space is the core reason to hold classes here?
That we didn't create this space. We created this space to offer and do something differently than what we've been able to offer at the high school. It wasn't because of lack of space at the high school. It's to develop a learning space that can be used in a multitude of different ways. One of the things that's been a challenge for us is we haven't been able to retain some teachers who were planning on offering classes there as well. So we're in the process of trying to hire teachers who can come in and do like some work-based learning type work, like the Let's Make Money course that we plan to offer there, but we didn't anticipate that the person working on that course to be offered at the Orpheum and to be connecting with downtown local businesses would be leaving us. So that kind of put us in a difficult position to offer that course right away there. But depending on who we're able to hire, this space will lend itself very well to the course that we right now plan to get off the ground there. And again, over time, we will continue to develop different ways that we can use this space to accommodate different curriculum needs, educational interest needs. I just don't know what all those are going to be, but we've had the business department, technology departments, video production departments, which is also an offshoot of English and that sort of thing. So each semester, potentially something different could be offered there, whether it be in the morning and the afternoon, but it's going to take time to build that out.
But there's only really this one classroom space.
Correct.
Available.
There's this classroom space available. There's also the potential that we could repurpose during the day, the space that's the Black Box Theater. We have tables, chairs. We could get other furniture that could turn that into a learning space during the day as well, while also keeping that facility accessible for community needs and things, performances and stuff like that too. I suppose if you had more of a lecture type situation, we could figure out a way to use the auditorium space for that too, but we tend to encourage teachers to have active learning versus passive learning, so we haven't really been given a whole lot of thought to that, other than we've got the second event of interest that is looking into using that for an event this summer, the auditorium part.
I can see some potential for this, but then I look at what we have in the community with the public rooms at the public library and things like that. And I'm wondering, will this really be used well? I mean, are we going to furnish this room and have it sit unused? I'm not sure we have a clear plan on how we want it to get used.
I'm struggling a little bit with, if we just have one class there, we don't have enough time between classes for kids to, I mean, it would have to be the end of the day. I'm struggling a little bit with how we're really going to have one class there, and that's it, and how that's going to function within the way our high school works today.
See, I could see potential with our extended learning program where you could do a writer's workshop and pull from all of the elementaries and have a half-day workshop for a select group of students. But I don't see us at this point having a firm plan for how it would be used, and I'm not sure that that couldn't be done within our current facilities. So I'm just not sure.
Yeah, from the very beginning, we've never said that we're going to have a plan how to fully utilize this space for curriculum purposes right out of the chute. I think what I've said consistently is that we're going to try to build over time. Our goal was to provide offerings that could accommodate if students so chose, half-day opportunities over there with multiple classes. Unfortunately, one of the three things that we were developing has kind of fallen off the map because of the teacher leaving. So we may be able to reestablish that depending on if we're able to successfully hire that teacher, but at no point for next year have we been looking at more than 3 different courses being offered there. And this is the only, I guess, classroom space, so to speak. Right now, there's 2 opportunities. They really are interconnected in many ways, and that will be the independent study that will be working, and it will take at least the year, if not longer, to get all of the digital content created that we wish to be displayed in the Orpheum through independent study of students, because it can involve students with different types of interests, from writing to photography to videography to history. You know, all of those things are important towards the work that's going to happen there. And then, as I said, Mrs. Harmson is planning to offer the digital technology course there as well. If we're able to successfully find the right fit for our business position, then our hopes would be that in pretty quick form we can once again be looking to offer the work-based learning type Let's Make Money program or curriculum that was being developed. And we've been working a lot with Junior Achievement on that as well, to partner with and to utilize some of their resources.
And that would be a half-day program with the idea that they're in the town area and they could go out to work sites from there. That makes sense.
And I apologize, I didn't intend to talk curriculum tonight, so, if we want to have further discussions on that, we can have a work session, involve Jackie Wyant, we can involve Shauna, we can involve Eric Gosling. We've been focused primarily on the high school use just because of the transportation issue, but at any time, any of these facilities will be able to be used for one-off things if it lends itself to something at the elementary, for example, or something at Lenahan or something at Miller. We have the flexibility to use spaces for those types of things as well. But as far as actual courses taught, right now, we only have 2 on the books with teachers hired to support them.
And you just need our approval to furnish. That's what
Right,
we're
I would say
looking
the agenda item this evening is the
Just to furnish.
furnishings.
Yeah.
Any other questions, comments? If not, is there a motion to approve the purchase of furniture from School Specialty in the amount of $24,065.03 as presented?
Move for approval.
Second.
Hernandez Faltis. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no.
No.
Motion carries 5-1. Policies.
Well, that's me.
Not yet.
Yeah, we'll start. We have 3 policies that were coming back that had recommended amendments. 506.2E1, authorization for releasing student directory information. 507.1, student health and immunization certificates. And 507.4, injury or illness at school. We have not made any additional changes to those policies. I'd recommend the board approve and waive the second reading on those.
Any questions? Now, is there a motion to approve or to amend 506.2E1, 507.1, and 507.4 and waive the second reading?
So move. Second.
Faltis Stanley. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries 6-0. Now it's your turn, Jan.
Okay.
And you've got a number of them. It might be easiest to start with the ones, if there are some that are just being marked as reviewed.
Oh, there's a first reading initial review and Mark is reviewed. I think I'm just going to take them in order, Sean.
Okay.
It's pretty much laid out here. Okay, 506.2E1, authorization.
Hang on, Jan. We just did those. We did 506.2E1, 507.1, and 507.4, because those were the first readings.
All right, so that.
Yours are the
okay.
initial reviews.
The ones I have here, I'm just going to go off mine.
Okay.
507.9 wellness, no changes, update, legal and cross-references, and market is reviewed. Then 507.9 R1 is the wellness regulation, no changes, update, legal and cross-references, and markets reviewed. 507.10, weather-related school closings, delays, and early dismissals. There was a small change, changing the radio station. First reading to amend or mark is reviewed. 507.11, students with head lice, fix a typo and update the location of the school nurse manual. And then I had suggested that if we're going to say Google Sites, that we actually name the site that we suggest parents look at if they're going to be looking on this policy list. And that's first reading to amend. 507.12, life-threatening allergies. A paragraph was added to the end of the policy to reference the fact that we're now stocking epinephrine. Okay, and that's the first reading to amend. 507.12R, life-threatening allergies regulation. A paragraph was added to the end of the policy to reference stock epinephrine. Clarification under 1B, and that's another first reading to amend. And my understanding there is that if a parent knows their child has the allergy, they're still expected to take epinephrine to the school nurse, and she's to keep it on hand, but that we will also stock it because you don't always know.
Sure.
508.1, class or student group gifts, no changes, update and cross-reference, mark as reviewed. 508.2, no changes, I think, and update cross-references. 508.3, social events, there were no changes, mark as reviewed. And 508.4, intramural activities, is it activities that occur within a building, no changes, marked as reviewed.
Any questions for Jan? Then, let's see here, 5079, 5079 R1, 508 1, 2, 3, and 4 will be marked as reviewed. And the remaining policies will come back next meeting for a first reading to amend.
You do 50710 R1?
Oh, yeah, do we want to, yeah, I guess that's a question. Do we want to mark 50710 as reviewed for just that change of the radio station?
I would be, yeah, I think so.
Okay, then 50710 will be marked as reviewed as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and 50710R1 was a new regulation. It's essentially taking the information that we send to parents every year in November and making it part of that policy regarding how decisions are made with weather-related closings, delays, et cetera.
So that one, marked as reviewed for that one as well? Or is that first reading to amend?
That's a new,
Oh, it would be
that's a new regulation.
Okay, got it.
We'll bring that.
So that
Yep,
will come
got
back.
it. Yep, thank you.
Okay. Abby?
And I can show it on the computer, it doesn't have to be mine, so use yours. Okay. Sorry.
So while Dale is getting set up, as I mentioned at the previous school board meeting, just coming back showing progress to the website redesign, kind of general notes of what current progress is happening right now. Big thing is building and/or moving content from the current website onto this new platform. As Dale has mentioned to us, it's very much like when you're moving to a new house and you're getting all your boxes out, you're putting all your stuff into those boxes. You get to your new place and you kind of figure out, are these items really needed for my new place? Do they really fit? Or the question then becomes, do I need to go out and buy some IKEA furniture for my new place? So that's really what we're working on right now, is those two things. And with that comes coordination efforts with Juicebox. And so far, I would say Dale and his team at Juicebox have been doing a great job. The other part with building and/or moving content is generating a photo gallery for the website. So that's kind of top to bottom, each department. Our district in itself, looking at the elementary schools, at either I'm hoping the next recognition, getting John and Kenzie Stalzer out to give them recognition. They have been a tremendous help with this website redesign. They've been coming out, taking photos at each of our school buildings. I had them come out last week for a central office photo shoot, so that'll kind of show off all the cool things happening in our departments. Very stylish, should take great honor knowing that great models here in the district all the kids love being part of the photos as well. Kind of starting off showing the main homepage, all the features. I'm going to let Dale take the lead here, kind of explaining what we are doing so far and some of the features on it.
Okay, can you hear me okay? All right, so I'll just go through and show you a couple pages if that's okay. So on the home page, so we brought the Bobcat, new logos on there, and then animation for all there's some really nice animated effects. So if you didn't notice, this image will rotate when you go to the home page, so it can feature different students and different perspectives and people doing things. And then as you go down the page, like the little Bobcat feet will kind of come in there and load on the page. And then there's a variety of quick links that are things that people use a lot when they come to the site, whether parents or students or staff. These are the most popular things they're going to do. All custom icons to fit with your brand. And then we'll have the latest news. So we're going to bring over all of the news from Bobcat headlines, so none of that will be lost when we transition over the site. And then we'll show a calendar of upcoming events. The calendar will be really nice. I'll go through and show you what an expanded view of that will look like, but it will automatically import all of the athletic events that are taking place from Bound, which does the athletics and activities calendar. So those will automatically display on the site. And then also on here, with this really neat section, which I think is terrific, it allows you to profile Bobcats that are making a difference. And it's meant to be versatile enough so it could be a student, it could be a staff member, it could be a volunteer, it could be an organization in the community that's always been a great supporter. Anybody that's really making a difference, an opportunity to give them some praise and recognize them for their diligent efforts. And then as we go down the page right here, just a really neat photo. And this photo can randomize and rotate as it's loading. So you can show different students doing all kinds of accomplishment or achievement together. And then these values, which hopefully you can see, I think you can probably see them behind you. Those might be a little small, but so then we're really talking about the things that differentiate us as a community and as a district and what we want to be recognized by, really helping those be featured right at the top. And then we've got some facts here as well too about the great breadth and depth of programs that we're offering. And then we're introducing the Bobcat difference and explain what that looks like and how it makes a difference. Again, some nice animations. And then this teases and makes people aware of the new app that we're going to be doing as a part of the project that will be available for iPhones and Android devices. And then let me show you a couple of other things that I think you'd be interested in. So one of the things that I think has been a challenge in the past has been the staff directory, keeping it current. When you have so many employees that you do now, like you do now, it's tricky, right? Because people are always coming and going. Or people might get married, they might change their name, for a variety of reasons. It's just a lot of work. So the new site, what we've done, and your internal team has done a great job, making sure that we identify the right data sources, and then we're going to sync that data and import it into the website automatically. So every night it will be up to date with the most current information. So if anybody's added during the day, when they get entered into HR systems, they'll automatically be added to the website that night. If anybody ever leaves during the day, and you're going to remove them from having credentials because you're not going to pay them anymore, then they'll automatically be removed from the website. And then we'll import those as text items, but then we'll also be able to import photos as well too, which will be really handy as well too, because the photos just add something to it. So as you go to this page, here's a sample of what it will look like. But you'll see all of the staff members. If someone doesn't have their photo yet, then we'll just show their initials. And then it will be able to show for each individual like what their job responsibilities are, where they are located, whether it's at a building, whether it's maybe multiple buildings, if they're handling multiple grades, and then their phone number, contact information, and a photo. And then as a visitor, if I need to find someone, I can just filter and then find out whoever I would need to find. So it's really, really easy to do. Let me jump over and show you the calendar as well too, if that's okay.
I'm sorry, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
How's the filter by grade work?
Yeah, so they'll just be able to select a grade. So for each staff member, you can pick, you can associate them with multiple grades and multiple schools. So you might have a school counselor that is at like 2 buildings, and they split their time because you need to be able to find them in either one, right? So you can identify them in multiple grades or multiple buildings.
And where's that pulling?
So that will automatically, will pull from one of those data sources. So as they pull those data sources together, there's a little bit of work because it hasn't been in one place, it hasn't been another, but it's going to be found in a new place. So there's going to be a little bit of work to get all of that achieved. That makes sense?
So it's not ready, like those data sources aren't connected yet?
Yeah, correct. We've had some really good means to define what those data sources are. So the challenge, and this is common, like within HR, you would typically have, like within an HR system, you'd have like job title, name, social security number, employee number, income, all those things you'd have in HR. But you probably wouldn't have like the grades that they're teaching, right? So they're going to take a couple of sources, and then the plan now is to add some fields in the HR stuff, so it'll just be found there. And then once that's kind of transitioned over, it's going to be a part of the onboarding process for any new employee. They would just say, okay, this is the building, and this is where they'll be and what they'll be doing. Does that make sense?
So then you're working with the people who manage are responsible for our HR system and that tech company to create these new fields?
Yeah, correct. Amy Harmson has kind of done a little bit more of that internal legwork, but yeah, that's exactly what we're doing, is to identify. We've kind of gone through to understand where the different fields are, and then, because like phone number is not in the HR system or email address, right? So we're going to need to pull that in there so it would be available and visible. But once it's imported in there and listed correctly, then we can have it going forward.
Okay, so today we'll only be able to search by name and building, because that's all that's in the HR system.
Yeah.
What HR system are we talking about? I'm sorry, I'm the HR director, I'm just.
Oh, that's okay.
I'm just trying to understand what's going on.
You could probably, do you know that, Amy gave me a file, and I know she had some conversations with it, and, but those were, I wasn't a part of all those conversations, but I think it was the system where you're managing that information, and she said that it would be possible to add a couple of fields to that with it, is my understanding. Sure.
And from my understanding, it's 2 different pots of information that we have to align, kind of HR's information and,
It's kind of like stuff in Active Directory, like, so usually for network credentials, when you have network access, you're like, you can access this type of data because you're in this building and have these grades and have these permissions, which isn't in HR. So we're kind of like bringing those 2 sources together. It'll take a little work the first time, but then when it's done, it'll be, you won't ever have to touch it, right? Good questions. Anything else about directory? Let me just show you maybe events. I don't want to go too long, I apologize, but just so you understand how events will work. So on the calendar, you'll be able to enter these manually, but then it will also import all the events from Bound. So for activities and athletics, they have to enter them in that system. We don't want them to enter them twice, so we'll be able to pull them into this system. And then they'll automatically display, and then you can see additional information about an event, so it's nice and easy to scan. And then I can click on a certain date, and I can see events that are being pulled in. I can do a text search, I could filter by category or filter by school. And then I can also save it to my own calendar if I wanted to. So if I can save it on my phone, to my phone's calendar, or to my Google Calendar, or my Apple Calendar, Outlook, whatever you use. So it'll be really easy.
Can you click on the location? Is that a capability too or not?
So it doesn't do the location because not all the locations have a street address.
Okay.
So we kind of list them. If it had a street address, we're a little bit dependent on what data we import from that. So if it will send that to us from Bound, then we can pull it. If you entered it manually in the admin part of the website, then you could totally enter that in. It's a good question.
So with, this is all high school, if you're putting in things from like the elementary open houses, elementary music programs, do they come up as a different color? Are they automatically put in, or do the principals have to do that? How is it gonna go in?
Yeah, that's a good question. So they by default are set to show up as the same color, but you can go in and filter and see all of the different ones. So these are the ones that are coming in from Bound, but for each of the buildings, those events can be either created manually or they could come from another feed, like if a school building, if they just kept their events in a Google Calendar just to make it convenient, then we can pull in a feed from that and then automatically display those on the website so they wouldn't have to enter those twice again.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
And each of the school pages as well, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dale, each of the school pages have their own calendar. So if you went to Anson, you can see all of Anson's specific things along with Anson-specific news items. So they're kind of paired together on their own separate page of the website.
Yep, and then you can kind of adjust your filters. So for instance, if you have a third grader, an eighth grader, an 11th grader, then you could, instead of having to go visit 3 calendars, you could filter those 3 schools and then see the events that would be appropriate for them in one spot. And then as it shrinks down and becomes responsive, then it stacks up. So from a phone perspective, it becomes a really nicely usable tool, right? Like I still see those filters there, or I can do a text search. But then I've got this nice abbreviated list that on a phone is really, really comfortable. And you may not have seen it there, but you can, I can also view things by week or by month or range. By default, it kind of shows like a week at a time, so it loads events. And then from there, you can jump in, click a day, type the name of the event, filter by your school.
So do you have a sample of one of the school pages?
Yeah, we're still getting, I can show you what those would look like. What might be the easiest would be, I'll show you. They're still accumulating all the photos for all the schools, but let me show you exactly what they'll look like.
Schools is kind of our next big step forward. We are wrapping up the department pages and then moving forward into the school buildings itself. I know myself and the Stalzers, that's kind of our main focus with the photo content, making sure we capture each of those school buildings correctly. And then myself and the website redesign team, we've really been cracking hard on getting the school building pages itself completed, but some of that is working on PDF transfer or setting up the forms, seeing what forms we need to move over from the original website onto the new website.
So will the schools have a fairly standard, like every school would have a picture of the building and a picture of the administrations and how to contact people? And
Yeah, that's exactly right.
so it'll have, because that's nice, if you've got students at 3 different buildings, it's nice to have a fairly standard setup when they go into a building.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's exactly, and it's got the ability to have varied information. So if there's different start times per school, I can see it right there and view it. Apologize, it's not coming up. I don't know if it's.
Well, if you haven't worked on it yet, we're okay with that. We can wait till you get it done.
Oh, here it is.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. There we go. Okay, here's an example. There's an example for the high school. And the navigation will be the same, so I'll see kind of all that navigation there. And as I go down, I'll see the information that is convenient, like wayfinding stuff, address, phone number, right? My child is sick today. And then phone numbers that they can call, reminders of when the alarm bell is, and then contacts for them. And then those will link through to their profile in the staff directory. And then for the building, they can have specific, just quick links that are going to be really helpful for them to have. And then each one will be able to have a separate statement at the top, their own news. And news items at the building level can be shared by multiple schools. You could share a district news item with each individual school, or you could share one with just a specific school or a couple schools. And then side navigation off to the side, so you can have as many pages you'd want to and then events that are just specific for that building, and then custom photos for them, which these can either pull from a photo gallery or we could pull them from an Instagram feed for that school, just so it's nice and easy for them to update in real time. And we can pull it from a certain hashtag, so it would only be from an unapproved Instagram account.
Will there be any kind of like feed or integration of social media pages like Facebook, for example?
Yeah, so they'll all link here, and then we can have on here, like these would pull from Instagram images, and if we wanted to pull like Facebook posts in, we could, or Twitter posts as well too.
So it shows on the bottom there.
So what's the go live date for this? Do we have anything definitive?
The expectation is, you want me to go or do you want to go?
I was thinking, wasn't it late June? I'm like,
Yeah, it was to be done by the end of June, just so that they would be ready for registration.
Yeah.
So they were working through the content, like Abby said at the beginning, like a website's kind of like moving. You want to go through your stuff before you move it and get the content as up to date as possible, because if you don't, you're going to end up with a bunch of boxes in your garage, in your basement, and you're never going to go through them, right? So you're going to have this really nice looking website. It's going to have fantastic new photos. And ideally, the content would look as good as it can be. So they're working really hard to get as much done as they can. And then if there's any that they have to come back to later, then they would do that. But they're like, no, we're gonna do it at the end of June, so we're all ready to go for registration.
And that's an achievable date?
I think so, yeah, with how hard we're pushing to make sure this is ready to go by late June. I was feeling a little nervous about the photo content, but where we are right now, I feel a lot more comfortable. It's just really making sure we get the main essential bones of each of these pages together and then coming back and then, filling in the fluff for, much like the house analogy, putting up the artwork on the wall. So that would kind of be the comeback later for certain items, but making sure we have the main structure to each of these pages is the ultimate goal.
Any other questions?
So you feel that registration on the site will work just fine?
I think so personally, especially with work Dale and his team have done with forms. It's just making sure we have that form filled out and in its proper place on the page. And, parents are able to see it, they're able to click on it, fill out the information, and get what they need from it.
Are we going to be able to take payment initially through registration form?
I am not sure about that, but I can research and get back to you on it.
All that's done through Infinite Campus.
Yeah, we've never been able to do that till after like October.
Yeah, there's a 30-day wait period we have to go through
So
for free and reduced application processing.
Okay, so that will still
That-
happen
that will-
separately?
That will not change, correct?
Okay.
Is there somewhere we can buy merchandise, Bobcat merchandise on the website?
That can be an item we can figure out later down the road. I know I was chatting with Amy about the Welcome Center, putting together a page for that. She's like, yeah, that'll probably have to be an item for the future. So that's definitely something we can think about and, kind of brainstorm how to put together that page.
And then I mentioned to you, I've already been receiving requests and questions at work about when do I register kids? How do I register kindergartners? There's like nothing on the current site that like tells people what to expect next year. And so even though we may not be ready, the parents are looking for that kind of information. So anything we can get out there that just kind of gives them some expectations of what to expect would be good.
Yeah, we just got an email for the first time today on that, so that's been passed along. I think, and Randy helped me here, but I think it's not just a website issue, but we would need to have a user-friendly platform for which people could make payment, correct, on purchasing things through the
Oh, like,
website.
you mean like, speaking of like Bobcat apparel and that
Yeah.
Zach just referred, yeah, we would have to, yeah, you're right, have to make it a user-friendly, for both the, patrons of the community, purchasing, as then also making sure that on the back end setup that it's deposited correctly into accounts, yeah. But we should be able to work with our department and Abby and can look at that in the future, yep.
I just know that, because we don't do a lot of that now, but we invoked it for a fundraising that my class is doing to try to help with the stadium project or components of that. And so we made that happen, but it's not the cleanest process and generally leads to some questions because of the way you have to fill information out and that sort of thing, so.
Correct, and usually when you're purchasing, let's say Bobcat apparel, that's typically more ran through like a booster club rather than the district itself, because now you're getting into public purpose, is because we would have to purchase those items to try and resell, and we can't resell them for a profit. So usually those are best handled through a booster club, but we do have the capabilities through our online payment system to circumvent and make sure that those funds, if someone wants to purchase Bobcat apparel, that it can go to the booster club rather than to the district, and still be a good partner, but keep everything separate, so.
Other questions or comments?
It looks nice.
It does.
In theory, I can't wait until we can actually use it.
Yeah.
Same here. It'll be a great asset for the district, I think. I know just from the time using the current website, it's definitely, I have to jump through 3 hoops in order to get to a different hoop, or the slideshow currently on the current website, that's a definite, I have to jump through a couple of hoops in order to get through this hoop. So definitely with this, I'm excited. It streamlines everything. Much like Dale was saying, much of the information will just go straight through. It'll definitely cut a lot of the weeds out of the current website and give us the fresh look we've been looking for.
Okay. Thank you, Abby.
Sounds good.
And reminders, Bonnie's got initial review policies for the June 5th meeting. We're getting to the end of the school year, so most of the committees are pretty well wrapping up, but I see there's a couple of committee meetings still left this year. Speaking of committees, SIAC met
We did.
a while ago.
May 8th.
I guess it hasn't been that long ago. It's only the 16th, isn't it?
Yeah. So, yeah, we met, we went through, we talked a little bit about teacher appreciation and some of the activities that we had done this year. If you saw the notes from businesses where students wrote on those notes and they were posted up around town, those come down and then go to the teachers, so then the teachers get to see those, which has been very nice for the teachers. We plan to continue something like that next year because it was a very positive thing. Businesses are asking for that, so we will, we'll plan to continue that. Then we talked about test scores, like preliminary test score kind of information, just kind of looking through very early ISAPS scores. And let's see, what was the other thing we talked about? I don't remember the third thing. We did talk a little bit at the end about adding, historically, we had or at least more recently, we had some students participating, and we kind of have, we had moved away from that this year, and so we were talking about having students participate again. Some of the, like the teacher card idea came from a student. So, you know, you've got some of those different ideas that came from some of the students in the community, and I think that would be good to add that back in. And so that was one of the things we had talked about as well.
Anything for a future agenda that anyone would like to have?
Just to mention again, Special Olympics at some point, talking about that.
Yep.
And then, not wanting to beat a dead horse, I think we need to keep talking about Middle School. These bullying complaints have come up frequently. And so maybe we need to be looking outside the box, you know, what could we do in the way of school within a school, magnet schools, alternative schools. What are our options? Because what we're doing is not working.
What have we done this evening to improve education for the students in Marshalltown?
I love the computer science as
I do too.
elementary concept, and, you know, when we came back from the session in Des Moines, we were talking, you know, there was a session there where they had computer science kind of really more integrated, not just as a special and built into some different aspects of their curriculum across the board, K through 12. And that was one of the areas out of all the presentations that we attended where they actually were showing test score improvement as well. And so I thought it's good to see that. I would like to see us continue to do that with that integration across the board. That's exciting to me.
Yeah, it was.
We approve graduates,
Yes, we did.
300.
A lot of them.
376? So are we invited to that this year again?
No.
Board. Just so I can plan on it.
Yeah, I assume we're invited to graduation. I don't know why we wouldn't be. If there's anything else or nothing else, we're going to take 5 minutes. That's the end of the open session portion of the meeting. We'll take a 5-minute break and then we'll come back. So, thanks everybody.
Thank you.